All right, we're live. So I don't have a lot of production for this episode. I guess I might, as I'm talking here, go find the CloverTac image and push it up onto the screen here. So I just wanted to go live in order to nominate or petition for CloverTac, Chris, to be included in the AmmCon. So for those that don't know it, I have no idea what AmmCon is supposed to mean. American Convention. I don't know what it stands for, but it's the 4-year thing, 4-year event that's held. It used to be held before the Gun Rights Policy Conference, before the Gun Rights Policy Conference quit happening, before it turned into a virtual event. When it was still a real event for many years, the Gun Rights Policy Conference would bring together people from, oh, you know what, since we're getting feedback, is the audio okay? I didn't really expect too many people to be live, but thanks, G23. The Gun Rights Policy Conference started years ago by the Second Amendment Fund, well, actually for the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, which is an offshoot of the Second Amendment Foundation. The Gun Rights Policy Conference, I think, started in '84 or in that era, and has every year, up until recently, happened live each year, and it brought together, invited each of the national level and as many of the state level, also some area of interest focused gun owners' rights organizations. And it would bring people together it brings people together in order to offer a situation report, a sit rep on what the organization is up to, what they might need help with, and their direction for the future. In that regard, it's an excellent opportunity for people to tune in and to be updated on those various organizations. Additionally, folks that are advocates of various areas of interest, for example, lawyers or doctors, people with a connection to some part of the community, would also be featured on panels or individually to offer insight to timely issues or strategic issues. And the Gun Rights Policy Conference was, in many years, in evolution and participation by many, and it was a very cool event. Probably because of the history and the reputation that it started to gain, the Gun Rights or the AmmCon was started in Dallas of 2017. I was not invited, but I happened to be in Dallas on a road trip, and attending the Gun Rights Policy Conference was one of my goals for the road trip. So when I showed up in Dallas a day early to check out gun shops, I woke up on Friday and saw that a blogger, Adam Richardson, had posted on his Instagram the schedule, the itinerary for this AmmCon, which I still don't know what AmmCon stands for. So I decided, instead of looking at gun shops in Dallas, I would book across town Friday morning during traffic, fight all that, get to the hotel where the Gun Rights Policy Conference would happen over the weekend, and basically crash the AmmCon. So I did. I went in there and parked and everything, and went in, found the AmmCon, which there was no signage, so that was fun. And then once I found it, I just asked if I could go in, and they said yes. So I went in, and it was a dozen or so, maybe 18 people that were advocates, I guess, and people that focus on Second Amendment with their content creation, at least, and people that had been doing work, like people that maybe weren't content creators but had just done work in the past and had come there with a reputation and a series of accomplishments. AmmCon then proceeded to basically regurgitate silliness, stuff that was fake, stuff that was wrong, stuff that was found to be inaccurate years ago. And when I say stuff, I'm talking about strategies for success on the internet, both like technically and theoretically. Like they just had no idea. It's like they had gone to an elementary how to use the internet guide for dummies from 1985, or maybe 1995 more accurately, and then just said all that stuff to people. And it was frustrating because it was wrong, but everybody's got an opinion and I'm allowed to, have an incorrect opinion. But they were telling it to Second Amendment advocates, people who were completely unaware, and we were sending them down dead ends and blind alleys, and it was frustrating. But I was new and I wasn't invited, and I still managed to participate a little bit, but most of my participation was frustration. So then I went to Chicago, the Gun Rights Policy Conference in Chicago in 2018, and I went to the AmmCon even though I wasn't invited a second time, and it was almost identically the same situation. One girl cried, and I found out, wait a minute. No, I thought I was going to say, so one guy made a girl cry in AmmCon. I'm just saying that happened. There was zero adults, and that's the kind of situation that happened. I left them know that I wasn't satisfied, that it was frustrating that what their goals were and that they were not reaching those goals, and that I didn't have the answers, but they certainly could do better than what they were doing. They didn't like the way I responded to feedback I gave, so I've pretty much been on the outs with AmmCon. I've been to AmmCon then the subsequent year in 2019, and that's the year CloverTac went to AmmCon, so he knows what it is. And it was the third year, which was basically the same as the first year with tiny edits. For example, one of the things that was brought up as an expert, someone to tell us about how to make money online or to offer suggestions on how to keep entity funded online, was to have 1 million subscribers and to pay for marketing. That's unacceptable. So I was frustrated, and with other people's insight, I felt I was justified to be frustrated, and I have since quit any affiliation with AmmCon. However, I'm still aware of it, and I understand its goals, and since it persists, I'm going to suggest that a valid, useful keynote speaker be included in the proceedings. CloverTac is what we're going to talk about, so I'm going to jump over to the description of this video, which is in no way a biography. I just did it off the top of my head. So you might go to his website or to his LinkedIn for a better bio, but I'm just going to go through the description here. And this is a plea to AmmCon, who will not listen to me, and all the people who will listen to me. If you feel like mentioning it to the people at AmmCon, feel free. I'm not asking you to do so, because that would just further piss them off. However, I'm going to say it anyway. And I hope this doesn't piss off Clover. He's out there. Sorry about this if this bothers you. But Clover is the best candidate for someone to be a keynote speaker at AmmCon for these reasons. There is no gun rights policy conference. They've completely stopped doing it, even though they still take funding as if they were doing it. That's a whole other subject. But since the AmmCon is not happening with a gun rights policy conference, I believe they're doing it in Dallas. So if I'm not mistaken, and they are doing it in Dallas, CloverTac is a native Texan. He doesn't live that far away, but I'm sure he could boogie his ass over to wherever it needs to be if needed. All right, so why he's an ideal keynote speaker for AmmCon. AmmCon claims to be a resource for Second Amendment content creators. CloverTac is the only person I know who's been working publicly for years on that exact goal, not just putting lips to air about it, but hosting a conversation every Thursday that he brings people in, and not just his immediate friends, which are often on the show, but he has people on who he doesn't even know. He helps people, he answers questions for people, and he involves channels that he has no interest in or no awareness of. So he's literally helping people, and he's got that on the clock. Let's see. Hosted live conversations for years every Thursday evening, focused on supporting and offering actual coaching that's assisted dozens of gun content channels to grow and prosper. I think I don't want to say all of them because he's pretty big now, but many of those channels grew faster and larger than him. Again, an indication of a coach that knows what they're talking about, as opposed to someone who is able to accomplish and then explains that to people. Anybody can stand there and get hit by lightning and then explain to people what it was like to be hit by lightning. That does not allow anyone else to get hit by lightning any differently. So it's not coaching when someone has 1 million subscribers or $1 million and pays to have subscribers. It's not coaching. It's just telling people about your experience. Clover's the opposite. He has done a lot of stuff over the years before he started YouTube, and then with YouTube. He's been paying attention. He has the insight of a technical person who understands the internet. So when he sees the things happen on YouTube, he's able to actually file those into the appropriate places. Beyond that, he takes that information and uses it effectively to help others. Again, witness of that is, testimony to that is, I don't know, years of a Thursday evening show where you can see people just go to that show. Anybody can go to that show and go back to the beginning and look at how little the channels were when they started being there, and then watch those channels today, see how much they grew. I suspect if you asked them if Clover helped them, you're going to get a pretty unanimous answer on that, to the positive. Let's see, a major testament to CloverTac's ability is the number of channels who have grown larger and faster than his due to following his advice and counsel. All right, well, I'm reading, so I'm reiterating. Okay, CloverTac has experience with building online community website systems. Without getting into details, the system we used for gun channels, an online community that lasted for 7 years, was very similar to a community that Clover had built for Texans because of the way the internet works and the way that we're marginalized as gun owners. Clover needed to create a place in Texas for Texans to do gun-related stuff. And he ran that community for a while, to the point where I think I'm not giving away things, he had lucrative offers to sell that system to people. So he knows how to build community, which isn't an insignificant task, and he knows how to facilitate the community with functioning online systems. So having a depth of knowledge on how a system works is going to give you a little bit more insight than somebody who's just, knowing how the ocean works and what kind of critters are under there and the geology under it is different than a surfer who just comes by and happens to surf a wave good. Let's see, at least for coaching how to build a beach, right? So CloverTac helped manage a community of thousands of gun owners for years. Kind of mentioned that. He's had his industry contacts. He's fostered attending firearms events for years. So in addition to just being a mentor and a coach for other channels, he has his own channel, and he's done he's had success with it, focused on more than just helping other people. That's something he does on Thursdays. What he does the rest of the week over the years has been focused on the youths, kids joining shooting sports, competitive shooters. He's gone to industry events and fostered relationships with the various manufacturers and distributors and wholesalers and stuff, just like anybody who's doing a plain old boring sell you crap YouTube channel like a lot of people try to emulate. Although he can do that, and I suspect he could probably just do that professionally and be done with it. He insists on tethering his channel down to the 2A stuff, which hinders the ability for it to flourish with financial gain. So the fact that he's coached others to get there indicates that he knows what he's talking about. Knowing all those industry people, he's not just coming at it like some of the bloggers who've never even had interaction with other people in the community. Instead, it's pretty much known by not everybody in the community or nothing, but by a lot of people in the community. Most of the people that are on YouTube at least know of CloverTac. If he hasn't helped them directly, they probably know someone who's saved their channel because of his efforts. That's a whole other thing we'll get into. So as a firearms instructor, he's coached youth shooters to excel at their sports to the level of supporting their higher education with shooting scholarships. So before all this YouTube stuff, when he was just a tech, he was helping kids with their shooting careers, or at least with their ability to shoot by being a coach. Nobody gives credit to the people, the adults who stand there and let little kids experience, right? Little kids don't get to just go shooting, especially if their parents don't have any inclination or ability to take them shooting. It requires coaches. It requires leaders who are willing to help other people's kids do what those kids want to do. Clover did that. He did it for his own kids and other kids. again, I'm not totally familiar with all the specifics for their college with scholarships. Again, that's the kind of value that Clover brings to something like an AmmCon, which is allegedly an event that brings gun content creators together to grow and to coach each other, to learn and to accomplish. Again, the fact that Clover has already accomplished in many realms, I think justifies my position here. All right, next, CloverTac helped manage and promote the 2-year experiment to provide 2A focused content creators with hundreds of free patches, as well as funding the projects through rallying hundreds of 2A supporters. What we're talking about there is the 2A patches. Really wouldn't have been even possible without CloverTac. He helped a lot in the first one, and because of his help with the first one and his willingness to assist with the second one, I did the second one. I lost a lot of money. I really lost faith in the community, unfortunately. My goal with the 2A patches was to bring a dozen organizations that didn't know each other together so that they would know each other and ideally share resources and audiences and efforts. And even if they didn't become best friends, at least they'd be aware of each other. I'm not sure any of the people on the first patch batch, except for Ghost and Clover, could even tell me who else was in it. So that didn't work. But again, first time you're not going to get it right. Let's try again. We tried it again. Clover participated. And I tell you, I wouldn't have done it if Clover wasn't helping out. Again, my goal was to bring 12 organizations together to meet each other, to share resources and all the rest. Completely failed. In the process, though, Clover did, any of the successes that are there. Again, I'm going to attribute to Clover's motivation and his assistance. So whether or not the projects were successful, and that's more of a factor of my abilities than his, he was just helping out. He was aware of the mechanics of facilitating a month-long crowdfunding campaign with 12 different entities and the audiences behind them, as well as the fulfillment of something like $20,000 worth of patches twice, and shipping those out, not just the hundreds of patches to the individuals, and then the coaching and the mentoring, because he has knowledge. I guess I didn't even put it in here that he has knowledge of selling stuff online. So he was able to at least assist or offer assistance to those folks who weren't just given patches. We weren't trying to give people fish. We were trying to teach them how to fish. And Clover was part of the teaching them, being willing to teach them how to fish part. Nobody took us up on it, and it was a failure, but it wasn't, again, it has nothing to do with Clover. The failure part was on my end. The part that made it possible was because Clover's out there doing the thing he's doing. And again, he has all this experience with it. For them to not be reaching out to this person like Clover shows us what AmmCon's all about. Okay, so next up, Clover helped manage and promote, no, I just did that one. Clover funds his 2A project with his online store as well as crowdfunding. Well, I guess I'm mentioning it now. He uses both Patreon, which is a subscription-based, it's a subscription-based crowdfunding effort. So it's, the whole idea of everybody contributing to a project can be done occasionally or intermittently or whenever, spur of the moment, but it can also be done consistently with a subscription. And that allows for real growth. That allows for planning and strategic growth. So CloverTac's familiar with that, unlike a lot of people who will exploit systems and exploit the visitors, the people that watch their content, by manipulating them and suggesting that they're being attacked or being harmed by the platform, when in reality they're either misusing the platform or just not even trying or creating a hoax. And Clover's aware of those people that have done that stuff. He's aware of the people that have succeeded. He's succeeded himself to an extent. And, we've been around long enough to see the different people come stick the wheel in their own spokes, fall off the bike, and then claim it was the system that took them off the bike. So again, when you have a bunch of people in an AmmCon environment who are interested in sharing and learning, the resources that Clover brings to the table are, they're not unprecedented, but they're certainly many. Let's see. Again, I shouldn't rest on the fact that he's brought projects to life. He's in the midst of doing that right now, but he's brought all kinds of different things in addition to the simple stuff that anybody can do, like a hat and a sticker and stuff like that. He's gone beyond that to play around, worked with target people, worked with different manufacturers and stuff, people that he's worked with as sponsors and things to be creative and dynamic with that. Again, he's not wealthy. His goal isn't to, well, I don't think his goal, pretty sure his goal isn't to get filthy rich off the suckers on the internet, but instead to have a successful run while participating with everybody, his audience and the fellow people on our side. He does not rest. He's recently been working behind the scenes to act as a liaison for YouTube with the goals of the community in mind. So I don't know how much of this I'm supposed to talk about, but there's a bunch of people online that suck and they focus on guns and stuff. And then they'll come along to a platform like YouTube and they'll see that you can manipulate people by doing something, acting like you're going to do more, and then not doing anything and saying that the platform took you out and the platform's out to get you. Those people we don't care about, but the people that have seen that and fall victim to that concept often reach out to the community and say, hey, what happened? Something happened over here to my account. Clover's been working hard, not just to help the individuals, but to help the behind the scenes YouTube to figure it out. People that think YouTube are against guns have not talked to people like CloverTac who understand from talking to the people inside the thing that we're dealing with a giant entity. If they were truly against guns, guess what? This channel wouldn't be doing this right now. So Clover is actually doing something to work with the giant platforms. I don't know if anybody's doing anything like this with Facebook. It's probably pretty tough, but I'm not aware of anybody that's doing more than Clover right now with YouTube. I don't think I'm supposed to talk about that too much. Hopefully I'm not looking at the comments. Hopefully he doesn't get too mad at me on that. But he's not going to talk about that to AmmCon. But again, AmmCon can have a bunch of people come in who just pay for views and then tell you that you should just pay for views, and that's how easy it is. Or you can have people that come in that know what they're doing, have worked in different levels, with all kinds of tools, have helped people from all different directions, people that want help to people that don't want help to people that expect help to people that want to pay for it. For these reasons and more, CloverTac should be the keynote speaker at AmmCon. If you don't like my opinions and you don't have to watch my videos, let's see, I'll go look at some of the stuff. He's working on the cards right now. But right on. So Clover is out there, unlike other people who, when you do a video like this, aren't going to pay attention. He's even out there watching this right now. I didn't really ask him if he wants to be a keynote speaker, but I'm so frustrated at AmmCon that I felt like making this video anyway, and I'm using Clover as I don't know, as a element in a frustrated effort to improve what tools we have out there. And since I no longer use the tool, but I think Clover would be a great instructor on how to use some of the tools that are out there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the point of this was other than to post the video and have it exist. Everything I just said is in the description of this video. Nobody can take it down. My channel's bigger than all the channels that are going to participate in this project. And I'm going to go ahead and keep saying it. The project should be better than it is. CloverTac would make it better. I encourage you to get past me and listen to what I'm saying and bring CloverTac in on that. If they don't, then they don't have to. It's their thing. It's a free country. For people that are attending the event and curious as to why I would be so passionate about CloverTac being included or being the keynote speaker, in fact, go watch CloverTac's channel. Go hang out with them, and maybe you'll figure out what I'm talking about. Yeah, with that, I will say thanks for watching. And I don't really have a Clover ending. I don't have anything for Clover, so I'm just going to end it with Gizzard, I guess. Thanks for watching. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.